Alright, welcome. We are going to jelly print today with some new stencils. If you hear me talking to people, it's because there's a live chat. This is a recording from Ustream. So the other night I cut about 10 new stencils using my Silhouette Cameo, and they're just designs from the Silhouette store. So this was warped circles, and this was alligator skin. This one was kind of like, it's yellow, so it's a little hard to see until it gets painted. It was like a woven fabric, kind of like a mesh. Again, like I said, once it gets paint on, it'll be a little easier to see. I have one that I use consistently that was different size circles. So I cut another one in a larger scale, which I used on the turtle the other day. Hi, Trina. This one messed up because when I was first doing it, it's supposed to be all like this, but the top was sticky. I didn't have the setting right. I should have had a 3 and a 3, and I had the speed too slow, so some of the beginning was bubbling up, but I just cut it out. I think it will work good for like crusty bits. And then this is Jean's. She sent to me. It's a map. Poor man's version of the artist seller ones. Hi, Eileen and Shauna. And then this one was just squares and rectangles. And again, I thought it kind of reminded me. Yeah, right, Trina. You can just put your. Now, the one I had before had holes in it. Like I had gotten just holes in spaces. And this one just has squares and rectangles, and it reminded me of Paula's stacked books, so I thought it would be good for crusty bits also. And then this one was kind of like an abstract plant, and I thought it would be, yeah, I love the map. I've been wanting the ones so I'm going to start out with some crusty bits, which is why I have, and the last one, Shauna's going to like this one. This was one of the turtles I thought about using the other day, but it was a little smaller, so I didn't end up using it. So I put them on a piece of the notebook divider, and traced him in Sharpie and cut him out. So I'll use him as a mask, and I put a bunch of greens and stuff out. Yeah, and I would think it'd be hard to see where your dark paints are because I use it as a palette and put paint on it a lot. But I'm going to go ahead and start. And that's why I put the second jelly plate out, is I thought we could, while this one's drying, we could come over here. All right, I'll show the map again just a second. Jean cut the map and sent me the file. All right, so I'm going to put black on this one, the bigger one right now. And I'll go ahead, since I've got extra. And the other reason I like to have the two plates out is if I put too much paint on the jelly plate, then I can just use it over here. All right, I'm going to put the one with the grid over here. And then I'm going to put that abstract grid over here, because I can put this part that didn't get cut or damaged. And the other thing I pulled out is some tissue back. Yeah, I can, Shauna, email me well, I'll put it in the chat, just a second. I'm going to turn links on too, real quick. All right. Shauna, email me your address and then I can email you this. Here's my email. But send me your mailing address too, because I have some happy mail for you. Okay, so anyways, I'm also going to print on some back of napkins. These are just regular napkins, and I peeled off the back layers that you would normally throw away. And I'm going to do that to remove, because I'll use this in collage bits, like when I want to pop a black. Yeah, of course, yeah. When you say window panes, do you mean this one or do you mean... Shauna, I'll send you a couple files. You have a silhouette, right, Shauna? Because mine are not in SVG. Mine are in the silhouette. All right, and I'm just going to pull that up. So I'll let that dry, and then I'll take pieces of it and use it in collage, kind of like Patty does the art tissue. And I really like how I'm getting wrinkles. The one on this one right here. Okay. Well, I'll send them both. So, can you see how the napkin left some wrinkles, which I think will be cool? And so I'm going to set that one over to the dry. And ooh, this one's probably close to dry, so I'm going to just pull that up on the back of a piece of... Yeah, Carrie, that's what I do with all my napkin backs. And yeah, I single layers. You know how you take the one, I'll show you. Okay, so you know how you have the one decorative napkin and you peel off. This one's just larger because it's that diner size. You peel off the layer that you want to use in collage, and then this, instead of getting rid of it, I keep. And I take and peel those apart. And I just fold them up and keep them in a stack, because then when they're dry, I collage with them, so I can, cut little bits and stuff, and I can move it around like you do tissue. And unlike deli paper, in my opinion, it goes clear. You cannot tell it's on there at all usually. Especially if you do the wet brush or the wet Q-tip like Ange does around the edges and don't do a cut edge. The stencil's still on there, Carrie. I was going to do crusty bits. Thank you, though. Sometimes I leave the stencils on when I want to do, like, colors that would make mud. Oh, try refreshing, Peggy. some of that, I have a fan above me, so some of that dried, so it'll be, but I don't mind that. All right. I put a fan up here above me so I don't have a hair dryer to use. I watch on my phone a lot. I can't, if I have the screen too big though, then I can't see the chat. But at least it used to in Android, it used to put the chat across the picture, so it's not doing that. And I was in the app. Okay, this needs to dry still just a little bit. But this one's dry. And I took out, I think I'm going to do dragon fruit pink in the next layer. I just want to use a little bit. And then I took out a bunch of stencils that had smaller scale. I think that's too big still. I think I'll try this. And I'm going to just lightly take off some of that. I don't want to lift the blacks. I just want to lift the pink. Yeah, that would work. I just work back and forth between them because I'm not using a hair dryer. All right, that should leave some pink. Took off some of that black in a couple places because my stencil's dirty. All right, we'll let that dry. And then I'll just save this piece that I'm using, the matte. Either I'll use this side or this side and use it in like a collage bit. Okay, so let that dry. This is still a little wet on this one side. Yeah, it is free. So I took out a bunch of greens and blues in the fluid acrylics. And some turquoises. This is the Traditions. It doesn't want to open. And Dazzling Metallic. See if we can get a little mix going here, like a blend. I think I want something lighter up here. This is a green gold. Try a little citrus too. And sometimes when I am using the fluids, if I want to give them a little more body, I'll just use some other acrylic with it. I don't know why I'm wearing my headphones, I realize, still from listening to Patty. I don't need the headphones to hear myself talk or be connected to the laptop. That should make Jean and Eileen happy. It's green. Alright, let's try the Alligator. Oh, I just saw some that didn't pop out. For the most part, they weeded pretty good the other night. Okay, and I'm going to put that just on another piece of matte paper. Actually, I think I'm going to add it to this side. And on a napkin. Not one of those big ones though. I should have done the green first because this will be good on a napkin. Because it would be good little collage bits. But I think I've got enough. And after the napkin dries, you can do additional layers on the napkins and layer up some of the paint. But wherever you layer it, like I said, it has to be dry before you, because it'll stiffen up as it dries. But you can't take it like wet. You can't take a wet. Ooh, that picked up some of the black. That's really pretty. It actually reminds you of like gator skin. Okay, so we're going to pull that green up and we'll let that dry. Set that to the side. This pink is ready. And I think I'm going to pick it up with a little PBO. And let me grab where did I put my... I was going to put it on a card base. But I don't know where I put my cards. I had them all printed for the art show. And now I've lost the box with the cards, the blank cards. My blankety blank cards, as my husband calls them. I hate that when you can't find anything. Oh well, we'll just put it on some paper. And I think I'm going to put that same PBO on here, since I have enough to do both. Some matte paper down there. And I'll just put a piece of matte paper on this one. Oh, Shauna, are you going to cut some of the stencils for Terry and then send it to her in Happy Mail? That's a good idea. All right. I'm just going to lay this on top. I've got a little green popping out here on the edges. I don't want to get it on my hands. We'll just, like I said, keep adding to that one. When I do the crusty bits, I do like to kind of... Shauna can't get video. Well, I am recording. I'll send a little medley of files then, Terry, and a couple emails, and she can cut you. Like I said, because I usually get a package of 8 for $1 from the Dollar Tree. All right, so there's that one. I lost some of the black when I did the alligator print on the stencil. Can you see it sort of here on the stencil? But I do like it. Because I'll probably use it cut up. And it's got that shimmer from the PBO in the back. Okay, let me stick it in the drying rack. Pull this one up. Not sure I like the color combination, but you know, like on a building, the pink is pretty subtle. I like the pink and green combo. I'm not sure I like it with the black. But like cut up as a building, that would make a really good high-rise building. So, and I'll put another 5x7 over here, and then I'll cut it and use it as, you know, 2 pieces. All right, so I'm going to do a bunch of the blues, like turquoise and green colors. I just grabbed a bunch of the fluid acrylics. I'm not going to do crusty bits on this one. Crusty bits doesn't work real well for the fluids. I think it works better with the acrylics. I just took out a bunch of different blue-greens. And I thought if I brayered it but didn't over brayer it, it would be a pretty mottled green color. I mean, I'll probably take some and bring it over here too. And I'm going to leave the blobs kind of on that one. Right, let's go with the big circles on this one and the mesh on that one. I'll put the mesh right over here. And I'm going to put this one on a piece of map page. I don't use Golden's fluids. I have the Deco Arts mixed media line that are fluid acrylics because I'm a part of that Deco Arts Helping Artists program. So I have most of the mixed media line in the fluids. And I just ordered, I really like the Traditions for painting. I like this a little heavier and more acrylic, less chalky than the Americanas. Americana has more colors, but if I want to paint something more traditional. All right, so there's a little green on that one. I am going to let that dry, I think, because it's going to dry pretty fast anyways. I don't get ghost prints very well. Okay, so I like that. And we're going to add to this one. Let's see if we can. I'm going to see if I can lift a ghost print. This is just some aqua paper that I found. What do you mean, what do I do with this stencil, Terry? Yeah, I like them, Janet. I ordered the little sample set. You can't see that because it's black on black. I ordered that little sample set to begin with, which has real traditional colors, and so you can pretty much mix and get what you want. Yeah, the bubbles came out, and I think I'm going to add some lighter greens and yellows in another print, maybe. I have the other size bubbles, so I might use that. Because I have a plan for that one. The one on the this one I'm going to do probably a crusty bits, and the stencil I just took it off and I just left the paint to dry. Terry, is that what you mean? This one on the right. This stencil. You want this stencil? Is that what you're telling me? The scribbly one? It won't. It's about it's a little bigger than a 6x6 size. It won't go the full size. It must be 7x7 because it's square. All right, so that got some more of that off. So I'm going to set those two aside, and we're going to add some green and yellow to those. And I may do more bubbles and just turn the stencil a different way first. So let's do some lighter greens and yellows, just not the blues so much. And we'll probably pick up some of this too. Oh, I just threw it over to the side on my card. I have a card over here to the right, a table to my left where the laptop is, and I have a big console behind me, which is where I usually throw the stencils when I'm streaming. And then I'll dig them back out later. The other thing I want to get more, because I only have a couple, I don't worry about paint on my stencils. Not at all. About once a year, I clean them with Murphy's when they're starting to get paint peeling off of them. But I actually like the paint peeling off of them, so I don't really worry about it. I just leave the paint on them. In fact, I think it kind of helps the stencils a little bit since they're already lighter weight. I think they lay a little better sometimes. Right, so I'm just going to take this one and lay it down a different way. Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have gone with the turquoise one first. No, not here in Texas. And first, when I use the golden open acrylics, I can get ghost prints, but I cannot get very good ghost prints. Okay, so that put a little more of a lime green on. Lime green. Yeah, it just gives them a little bit of a weight. See, like I'll do this, and maybe I'll get something, and maybe I won't. I'm just going to clean up. on this one and get some of that lighter green. Okay. Now let's try just the yellows. I'm trying to build this in a sort of a solid, and you'll understand why in just a little bit. I don't know what I want to do with that, so I'm just going to let it sit for right now. This time I'm going to do it right. I'm going to remember and I'll use the circles again one more time. And I'm going to use this one, the turquoise, and add some, which will end up looking green on this turquoise. You're fine, Terry. We're just jelly printing and playing. Ooh. I think that's all right. I think because it won't all be, but you'll see when I do my plan. I'm going to pick up some more of this though. And I'm just adding this to this one little area of this map paper. Okay, let's take that off. And I'll add it to this. Okay, I like that because that gave some yellow between the greens. So I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to do one more thing to it. Let me get one other paint. I'm going to put PBO. I'm almost out of this. This is the blue green. I need to order 2 or 3 different PBOs that I use all the time. And a little bit of the green yellow. And I'm going to go back to that. Actually, I'm going to go to this, which is the warped circles. And a new piece of paper. There's be some white. And I'm going to lift that. No, Terry, everybody's been kind of quiet. Terry's been mostly chatting. I only see like 17 in the room. So that's pretty. Then I'm going to take that and we'll add it to this. Let's see. What do we want to... Maybe this would be pretty just with Titan Buff as a cleanup. Because it's such a tiny print, you're not going to see anything else between that pattern, in that pattern. Find the Titan, there's the Titan Buff. All right, so I'm just going to put a little Titan Buff on here and do just a little cleanup print. And I think I'm going to put it right here. And I'll lay that down. Let it sit for a few minutes. Brayer off here. All right, and you will not be able to see that on camera probably. I'll try turning it. Can you, if I hold it just right, can you see some of the PBO shimmer in the other pattern? I think if I rock it, you can see just little bits of that shimmer. Okay. And I'm going to put, there's a real pretty little light imprint here. So I'm going to go ahead and with that warped, I'm going to put the red blue, which always looks very pink to me. And do these, needs to be something kind of small. I think I'll do these circles in the smaller size. And circles here. And maybe just some letters on the side. And this is just ugly scrapbook paper. I'm going to pick up some of that pink on. Yeah, to me it always looks pink on my prints. I don't get red blue, but maybe the blue mica gives it such a pink hue. Alright, so just want to start putting some, like this is old scrapbook paper. I just want to start putting some layers of paint. Sometimes I brayer on these. Okay, let me pull this one up. Oh, that turned out real good. That'll be real good for collaging. I'm going to put some more pink circles on this one. Get some of this up. And then I'm going to do a cleanup print with that too. And that'll clean up the plate. Let me set this little one aside for right now. And so what I'll do is cut this up. I like this one, so I'll put it in the drying rack over to the side. Not wild about this one, so I'll probably print on that side. All right, I'm just gonna pick it up with, I think I'm gonna pick it up with a white this time. No, not a white. I'm gonna pick it up with a gold, metallic. because it's going to have a little bit of that green underneath that dried, and the pink and the gold. It should be a pretty subtle piece of paper. Okay, use white paper. This is just copy paper, which is what I like to collage with best. Yeah, if I'm not super happy with the print that I get, then I collage both sides, and then I have choices when I go back later what I want to use. All right, you can't see the warped circles very well in the green, but the pink with the gold turned out really pretty. There's some green down here on the sides. So I'll put that one in the drying rack because I don't usually have a lot of baby pinkish looking stuff. And I'm going to clean up the plate with a baby wipe real quick, because we're going to come back to these right here. And we're going to finish those. But I need to get some of this cleaned off before I go to the next and final layer. And I'm going to do what I call a blackout. I'll do the blackout on here, and I'm using a mask, so I'll just use this as my first, like, you'll see. Alright. I'm going to use ebony black, and I usually throw in some of the blue black PBO, which I'm almost out of, which to me has almost like a purple, bluish purple hue to it on the screen, or just in general. Let me brayer that out. And I want good coverage, so I have a very liberal coat of that. Alright, so now I'm going to take my sea turtle and lay my sea turtle down. I'm just tapping him down to kind of get, he's clear right now, so you don't see him very well. And I'm going to print first on this one. Okay. Get this little bit picked up on the side so I don't make a mess. And I want to pick up all that black paint. In fact, before I pick the stencil up, I'll probably pull more black off if I need to. And I'm making sure I don't have any bubbles and that I get good contact in the middle where I cut out. You probably can't tell because it was a piece of clear plastic, but I cut out some of the shell. Yeah, I use my brayer paper for collage. So if I kind of rock him, can you see the PBO in the background? It's not just a solid black. Okay. And I'm just going to use some paper to make sure it's not going to pick up. Mainly around the perimeter of the turtle, I want to make sure that there's no wet paint. Like I said, it dries in my room really fast. Okay, so now and he's got a problem I can see right now. You put a little black paint right here because his head was missing some paint. I'm going to pick that up. I'm just trying to pick up that and get that head to have wet paint underneath. Alright, if I didn't wait too long, we can put him on here. Black paint on my finger. But you can see that stencil now a little bit better with the black. Yeah, when I do the blackout technique, I almost always use the blue-black PBO in the mixture of the black because I love that iridescent. And then usually what I will do is, like, once he's dry, sometimes I'll take like I'll embellish it. Like on this one, I probably would take a die cut letter that was in the greens, or like you could take and cut an S out of this and put like an S for sea turtle or a T for turtle, kind of just as an accent. But that I just leave as is pretty much, other than once I know how I'm going to mat him. Yeah, I love the PBOs for their iridescence. Okay, hopefully we'll get, the paint was wet enough. And this sprayer paper that I use is from buying stuff at like Ross and TJ Maxx. See, he came out not bad. He's a little more batik looking, but just, let me get a mat and I'll show you how. Let me put down a clean piece of paper so I don't get paint on too much, and I'm not going to hold. But see how just a simple mat, and he's pretty much done. And like I said, I like that, and then I like that technique. You get those really bright colors to pop. Alright, so we set him aside. Stick those in the drying rack. Alright, I'm going to flip this up, is what Janet said. Need to And if we put something down and do a cleanup print with a lighter color, we can probably pull just kind of like a little bit of a hint of a sea turtle. I think I'll do the cleanup print on here. That's got pink, but I'm going to go ahead and go with, because this is blue purple-ish colors with the black, so I'm going to go with the turquoise in a lighter color. It's Bahama Blue, actually, by Americana. And we'll do a cleanup on the plate and get rid of him. But I think it's light enough that some of the turtle, the pink may show through on that. I think this might look cool with the turtle too, because I'm actually pretty pleased with, this is that paper we stenciled the other day, so I'm just going to set it to the side. And then I think I'm going to do some tone on tone, where I just get the pattern. When I put paints out, I tried that to kind of go with some of that for the paints that I put out. For some reason, it doesn't always like to pick up around the side. It's kind of muddied, but you can see them in there. But if you cut them out and just used them in something, in a collage piece, I'll probably just trim off and use it in a square where it was just kind of in the background or something. So I'll probably leave him as is for now. And I'm going to give this a little squirt, because I'm getting that little halo again around the edges. Which I guess could be okay. Alright, I'm going to try some tone on tone. And I'm going to work. First I'm going to do, I have kind of a peach color, a canyon orange, and a tangelo, just sort of 3 shades of peach, peachy orange kind of. Oh yeah, you could doodle around it, especially if you kind of did like tribal doodle or stencil, like flowers, like the kind of flowers like you. All right, because I had the water on there, that's kind of bubbling up and beating up. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to go with it. And this is ugly scrapbook paper. I'm just going to put it on there. Yeah, I was thinking like tribal, or even like little, I have a stencil it's like a old Martha stencil, and it has different pieces that looks like floral, like Hawaiian. Hey, Linda. Yes, Shauna was having troubles, and so was Peggy earlier, getting kicked out. Oh, this picked up some more of the, it's going to be grungy looking. I just wanted to put a base down. but it did pick up some of the turquoise that was on the edge that was still there, and maybe some PBO. All right, the next one I'm going to go with is the Canyon. Which is kind of like a terracotta color. I need more Liquitex basics. I like the heavier body paints. I think you can get more prints. I think the craft paints is part of the problem where I'm not getting like ghost prints. All right. I'll try the warped one again. It's like a warped circles. We'll put it right back on that peach. Oh, that looks good. And then I have another piece of that same paper. Let's see if I can get the other side pulled up. Just to start some texture. Yeah, I liked the warped stencil. But I like circles. I like the abstractness of it. And I was looking for stencils that had bigger openings so that I could put a stencil in a stencil. Okay, and that just picked up some of that leftover. See, I don't get too much because it dries so quick. All right, and then let's go with the brighter Tangelo orange. And I think I'll throw in this one a little of the PBO. Since this is the top layer, this is the orange yellow. But it's always real translucent when you use it by itself, so sometimes I like to add an acrylic, more opaque paint with it. All right. Now I want something smaller. I think I'm going to use this mixed number and alphabet stencil backwards. And then I think I'll use the smaller scaled circles at the top. And I'm going to take the first one off on the one that didn't print very well. So that's with most of the paint. What are the file names? The one that I first used, this one here is Warped Circles in their online store. This one, the circle one, I don't remember. And it had like 3 sizes. Okay, Trina, you can email me at here, I'll put my email in. This one, Terry? Yeah, this is think it's a crafter's workshop. Alright, so that puts some pretty color on that one. And then I'm going to pull this off and see. It may not be much darker. It may only show up in the lighter areas, which would be good. I don't know what you mean by the... These are all from the Silhouette store in their file format, not the SVG format. I don't know what their extensions are on those. It's not an SVG. I wish Jean was here, she could tell you. So yeah, it's not SVG. Hold on just a second and I'll look. Let me see if I can pull one up and look at the file name. They're .studio 3. It's .studio 3 files. Like I said, they're from the Silhouette store. Now, Jean, I think, knows how to use them in another program and convert them for Cricut. But it's not an SVG. I know she uses some other program to take SVG files and converts them to Silhouette. I'm not getting very much here. Just going to get a little here and there. But I can't say that I hate it. And I think I'm just going to leave it because I'm thinking that this might be good for just collage. Yeah, I don't... Jean can convert them, but she uses a different program. I can't think of the name of the program that she uses. There's a YouTube guy out that talks about converting files to and compares. I want to say it's Ken's Creations. But I just can't remember the program that she uses. I may leave this one alone too. No, I'm not going to spray this goodness off. This is all dry. I'm going to leave this and we're going to do what they call a cleanup print. No, it's not Print Shop. God, I want to keep saying like it starts with an I, like Imaginations or something like that. If you Google it, Trina, like how can you convert Studio 3 to SVG? Yeah, I can use an SVG. Inkscape, that's it, Carrie. Inkscape is what she uses when she wants to convert files. As I know she's converted some of the Silhouette files to SVG. Well, hers are almost always that she designs SVGs. And I don't know, I think I have to convert my SVGs on mine, but it's not brand new. And once you get them into SVG, then I think you can use them on the Cricut and stuff, I think. Like I said, Jean is so much more versed. I have the Pixie scan mat, like, I've had it for a year. And it's the mat. I've had it probably for 2 years. I'm lying. Since I got the Silhouette. And you can take a picture with your phone and send it to the program and make it cut out your, like, whatever you drew or whatever you stamped. But you have to print a little dot paper from your computer and then take a picture with your cell phone. And I just never remembered to take the picture. I never remembered to print that paper and take the picture of it so that I can set it up and start messing with it. And now I need new blades. I need to order new blades. I think I need to order new mats too, because I've got painter's tape on the back of them on some of them because they've been cut into. All right, so let's just pick this up with Titan Buff. It'll come out kind of peachy unless we want to add, was a glob of paint there, unless we want to add like a little yellow to that, maybe. No, there won't be enough contrast. I think I'll just leave it Titan Buff, because like I said, I'm trying to get some papers that are in these golds and yellows for collage built up. All right. This is a old yellow scrapbook paper. But since it's a cleanup print, yeah, I think it'll be kind of, it's not my favorite colors. I don't use them that often, but I do like them with pops of teal. But I'm doing a collage piece that's a Cocker Spaniel for a friend. And so I've been trying to amass, I don't know why the corners of my plate don't pick up. I think I need a new jelly plate, actually. It sort of changed how it worked about 6 months to a year ago. So I don't dislike that. But see how it's not, it like started doing that. I contacted them, I asked them. I'm just gonna put some baby oil. And clean it up a little. And it'll help maybe recondition it. But it also has some divots in it. Hi, Iffy. We're just jelly plating. Nothing like specific. I'm just using some of the newer stencils that I cut with my silhouette the other night and building up some collage papers. To go with the scrapbook papers. All right, let's see if that little bit of baby oil doesn't kind of help. I also need a new brayer because I hate, this is the Ranger one and I hate it because it's so hard to clean. It just doesn't want to, the paint doesn't want to come off. All right, enough of that color combination. All right, let's try this. Let's put, this is a crystal green dazzling metallic, and I'm going to use a little aquamarine. With it. I like the dazzling metallics, but they are on the thin side compared to the PBOs. Let's put this stencil, if I can get it untangled. All right, and it has a couple pieces that flop, so I have a feeling it's going to be harder to lay down. There we go. It's crooked, but I don't think it's going to make that big a difference. And then I'll put the circles up at the top. And I'm going to use a napkin to take the first one off. Hey, Linda. All right. Pull that napkin up. And I'll probably print on this one again since the mask part is on the plate. I'll take some more off with paper if I can in a few areas. It will not take long for that to dry. All right, let's see. When that's dry, I think I'm going to put a metallic down. Actually, I'm going to let it dry and I'm going to put red. Oh, did you, Terry? Yeah, I think it's $6. You can't really go wrong. I mean, if you don't like it, you can always do the plexiglass. I want to do red, but I think I want to pop a gold in there. So let me get the... It's actually bronze. And put that on. And I know I want a much finer stencil. This is one of my favorites. It's kind of like, looks like fence, but it's Moroccan, sort of. And I have the same stencil, similar, in kind of a larger print. All right, let's get the napkin back, and I'm going to turn it around and add this on top of that the napkin that we stenciled with the turquoise. Pick up some of that copper. Hopefully not too much of the dried turquoise underneath. All right, I got a little bit. I'll let that dry. I'm going to hit this with real lightly with some paper in a few places. but I'm not getting the crusty bit, the turquoise up very, so that's good. I just want to get a little more distinction on some of this area. Pull that off. Pull this off. Okay, now I'm going to do I'll try some of the red. This is, and I'm going to add a little bit of a, this is translucent, so I can't use it by itself. It's Artist Loft, but that'll give me a little bit heavier body. I'm going to put red in there. Let me grab this baggie. I have all kinds of circles cut in different sizes that I'm just going to literally throw down. And kind of let them land where they land. And I'm going to come back to the napkin. This will be the third layer on the napkin. It'll cover up a lot of the napkin. And I'm not sure how much of the red we'll see through the bronze, but I kind of think it will. A little bit. Okay. So that gives some pops of, again, this I wouldn't use in its entirety, but I would take pieces of it, squares of it, and use it in a collage. All right. Let's pull those out. I'm going to lift up a little bit more, if I can, with paper. I'll just use this, and we'll see what we get. More than I thought. Okay. I'm going to let that dry, which will not take long in this room. These are just various circles I've cut. Most of them freehand, some of them on the silhouette that I like to use. This is almost getting to be a piece of brayer paper to use. Hi, Emma. We are just jelly plating, doing a little bit of crusty bits, and I have, on this one here, and I'll hold it up to the fan, I have turquoise on the base, then some bronze, then some red, and then I'm gonna pick it up with Titan Buff here in just a minute. And I think I'm gonna put this on a piece of heavier cardstock, because if I like it, I might use it as a background. Yeah, circles, my fave. Okay, this just has a few places where the red is still a little heavy that I'm gonna lightly pull up here and there so I don't get pink. because I'm impatient. All right, let's go with the Titan Buff. And we'll do a cleanup print. And I'm going to put a little bit more, especially on the edges. Maybe that's why I'm not getting the edges, is it's not enough paint with the fluids. You have to be careful with the cleanup prints. You get too much paint. Now I did get a little pink on me there. If you get too much paint, it will just give you that last layer and not get your... Is your traffic been good though, Linda? Okay. While that's setting up, I'm going to put a couple of these tubes that I'm done with away. And some of these peachy colors that I don't want to use anymore. Okay. Good, that's good. Okay, it's doing the same thing on the edges. Just put a little bit of wet paint there. And put pressure right here and see if I can. Yeah, it's going to be kind of sketchy in places because the paint was so thick. But here's what I think I'm going to do. This is just Lindy's Magicals mixed with water and an old Lindy spray bottle. So I think I'm going to add a coat of that in the white because I don't like the white. And then this is just a different Lindy's. I don't know if I'm helping it or making it worse. I don't think there's any left in here. Little bit. This is just a sepia. But again, if I don't like it, I'll just use the pieces in the middle and cut it up. Okay. So, don't know if I like that light color. Yeah, I'll probably be here a little while. We don't have fireworks for a while. Well, there have been fireworks going off all day, but not the big show. All right. But this is what I'm getting a lot on my jelly plate. A whole lot. And it does it almost every time. Which is why I think, in some ways, I need a new one. I think it's time for the bigger one. See you in a little bit, Terry. All right. I'm gonna leave some of that there and take some of it away. And I'm gonna put black down and just try a crusty bit technique. This black is almost gone. Let me get the other one. Same black, just that. And I'm gonna start with the grids that remind me of Paula's stacked books. I'm just going to put the black on this. Which might finish this piece for me with the red and the black, and let's just let some of the map show through. What's lattice 19, Kathy? Is it a file from the site that Trina was talking about earlier? See, I like that. Sometimes I don't like red all by itself on the map paper because it reminds me too much of blood, like somebody bled all over. But that's got just enough of the grid and the red, which I think could be used in collage. All right, so this is dry. And I'm going to put some different colors of the turquoise and the aquamarine, the Bahama blue and the aquamarine, and not blend it a whole lot. Leave that pretty wet. And I think I want to take and hang some smaller stencils off different sections. And I'm going to hit that with a napkin. Oh, great, Kathy. Thanks. Okay. You really can't go wrong with turquoise elements. Okay, I'm going to take that off and put that aside just to dry. Just some pieces of napkin to use. And I'm going to take a little bit more out of this with the paper here and there. Okay, that one did really well. And I like this one. This one needs just a little bit more here. These are from Deco Arts. They came in like a set of 4 with the big letters. And I'm gonna offset that and try to take some more circles out where the gray was for the 2 stencils between them. Okay, let's see if we can get some of that paint off that stencil. Yes, quite a bit of that one came off. We set those aside. We'll let that dry. And then I think I'm just going to pick it up with the white. Actually, I'm going to pick it up with some yellows mixed in with the white. They're semi-transparent. That was an Indian yellow, and then this one is a diarylide yellow. They're kind of a marigold. And then I'm going to use the whitewash. Bye, Janet. Little bit of I think I need it more white. Alright, so what I'm going to do is pull some of that yellow off very lightly. I'm getting more of a green because some of that turquoise. Which I like that on there. That kind of really grunged up nice. But I'm still not getting the black yet, so I know if I let that dry and just use the white, I think that'll be awesome with some black and some lime green. Only chat, that's... Others had that problem Try refreshing, Carol. Others had that problem earlier, too. I'm going to get a different white that I have while that's drying. It's a little more opaque. Trina, here's the last one that was kind of a cleanup page that we pulled. Just pulling some of the extra stuff off. And this one too was just so that black on the red. I hate that, Carol. I don't know if you can hear me with no picture, but I guess Ustream's free for a reason. Let me stick this up by where the fan is real quick. Hi, Kelly. We're jelly printing. You can't see the plate because I have it holding up for the fan. We're going to do a cleanup layer. I'm just letting it, I think it's, there's just one little area over here. I think it's still a little tacky. Alright, so this is just way too much paint. Alright, just get rid of some of it. I barely pushed that bottle and just a whole glob came out. But we're going to see if my idea of not enough paint is the problem for the corners. Because I'm hoping the corners will come up on this one. Paper ready, and I'm going to hit the corners first. See why I don't like the Ranger? That's just like a paint blob that was on my roller that just came off. You can kind of see it in that one area. Just try this. I'm gonna let that go back to this other one for the Brayer paper because that one's so wet. Oh, this one got the corners. Cleaned the plate pretty good. Now I wished I'd left more of that other. You can see some of the red that it picked up from that one corner. Kind of. Little red down here. But it has the different, the dots and the two Moroccans, and that was kind of like a animal print. The black's not very dark. I think Paula gets a better first layer because she's using the heavier Liquitex. Okay, let's try a tone-on-tone kind of pink. Not really a pink girl. I'll throw a little white in there just to make more of a contrast even. But there was something I was going to do that I knew I needed pink for. I don't remember what it was. There was a collage project in the future, and I got thinking that I didn't really have any pink. I'm just going to put it on a map. But I'm kind of with Elaine on the pink. Ew, it may be really muddy too, which is even worse, like mauve. Okay. That's not a bad, you have to do pink. You can still see the map through it, which I like. And so I'm going to go to a brighter pink. In fact, I'm going to throw in just a little bit of this Fiesta Red and Dazzling Metallics, which is so thin it won't end up being very red. Okay. And let's try this little one in the pink. And I'm not really worried about if I'm getting this on straight. That's not bad. Like if I needed a pink. Ugh. Look at just this little bit right here. All right, and we'll add this to that as a layer. And then I think I'm going to add a layer find it. I have some, I used to have 3, but now I only have 2 left. We used all the yellow. But I have 2 golden open. Like I said, I really want more of this. I kind of like that on the map. It's just a little bit of pink, but you can see the map. Alright, so I'm going to add quinacridone magenta to the plate. The lids are hard to get on these. And it's real, you know, I just use a thin layer and a lot goes a long way. Like I said, you can get really pretty results with this. And let's try the bubbles. maybe. We'll put a layer of bubbles on this one. You can usually maybe been too close to that top layer. It's hard to, I mean, I like it better because it's more magenta. All right. But let's add it to this. And you might be able to see some of the details on the camera. You can see sort of the shadow of the magenta. But again, you can still see all the matte. And that gives me 2 pieces in pink. But I guarantee you there's still like magenta here. So let's go ahead and just do a cleanup with white, and I'll get probably a real pale print on the pink possibly. Need to wipe my brayer a little bit, otherwise I'm just going to get pink on pink. You can see how much of that came off my brayer. All right, so let's roll that whitewash out. Maybe minus the hair. And pick it up on just a piece of white paper. And then I have an idea. I don't think this will have much pink on it, so I think I'm going to add some like Payne's Gray to the top of it. Yeah, I got 2 pieces of paper. This stencil would be great for like doing just a print, like a ghost print, and then doing Zentangles, like, or even like taking different smaller stencils or stamps and masking out a section and putting different patterns in each one. Okay, there's not much pattern on this. Very, very faint. More on the sides. It's a pale, pale pink. And there's a little bit of a pattern there, not much. So I think what I'm going to do is put just a little bit of the magenta back on the plate. And I'm going to try to squeeze out just a little bit of the yellow that I have. I have like very little. And get kind of a coral color when I blend them. May have a little more yellow than I want, so I'm going to put just a little bit more of the magenta in there. I'm just going to put it on my brayer. Heavier in the middle, maybe even. Okay. Alright, and then I'm going to try the alphabet letter mask, which has numbers and letters going every which way. And I'll put this kind of down at the bottom. Kind of gives a pink on, a tone on tone, and I'm just going to lay it down in some areas and pick up a little more in areas that didn't get as much. Okay, I'm going to pull that up. I'm just going to pick it up on a piece of white paper. Sometimes my phone or tablet does that too. Is I'll log in and it says I'm logged in, and then it'll put down anonymous for the chat. Oh, see, that turned out really pretty. Can y'all see okay in the light? Is there enough light? My screen's kind of tilted. But that is just sort of a peachy pink. It reminds you of like pastel baby colors. But in a collage, I think it'd be really pretty. Alright, and now what I'm going to do is, okay, this stencil has so much great paint left on it that some of it stuck to the plate right here is going to come up the next time I pull. And it'll show up. I don't know what color it is, but it will show up. I wish, that's like, I love it when that happens on the stencils, because then you just get these little grungy bits. Alright, I'm going to get Payne's Gray in the fluid acrylics. And I'm going to get two dazzling metallics, the shimmering silver and the silver sage, I think, are what I used. And I got this really pretty color that was kind of like a gunmetal. Alright, I'm gonna set that aside. Put that on the plate. It's real wet, so it's kind of, the brayer's kind of sliding, but I'm trying to mix it. Alright, I know I want this in the corner of this print. And I think I'll just put this other Moroccan print stencil here. And here's what I'm going to do. I only want it to be like kind of right in this corner area. Maybe in this top corner here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of map and I'm going to tear out the parts that I want to kind of cover. I'm going to cover with this map. Okay. I think I want to put that upside down right here. I want a little bit of both of those stencils. In the gray. Okay, I like that. It needs more right here. But there's plenty of paint. I'm getting messy here. Because this was so liquid, I can pick up. And then I think I want to touch in a few places. All right, I'm going to let that dry. Because I think that would be, it's kind of a pretty background piece. All right, and then I'm just going to take this matte pieces and try to pick up the extra gray on these matte pieces, and I'll use those. Just picking up the rest of that gray here and there. Because I actually like that for just a piece in a collage. It's already torn. These I'll just use for something. And then this is, I think, actually already kind of, I like that silver with the pink. All right, we pull those off. And I'm going to let that dry. Still a little damp in places. And then I'm going to pick it up with the Golden Open acrylics in the phthalo blue. I think that with the silvery color might be pretty. Fold that brayer paper back up since it's dried. Clean my brayer off a little bit more. Make sure there's none of that magenta before I go to this blue color. Get some of that off my brayer. Nasty. All right, let me. I have to say, if you can afford the golden open acrylics, to try them on the jelly plate. I need to buy a bigger set or go into Dick Blick's and buy some single colors and colors that I really like. Because you can really build like color on color layers that are so pretty. Okay, this is still, that silver was so wet. Probably should have used some of the Reeves. No, the golden open is not supposed to be opaque. It's supposed to be very transparent. But it stays wet on the plate, so you can get a lot of ghost prints off of it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put some of this on here. And they're highly pigmented. And I don't use much. I just use a really thin layer. Alright, let me just get a piece of white paper. Let's see what we get here. Oh, about gouache, yeah. If you're using watercolor, a gouache is more opaque. Yeah, I think what I want to do, Martha, is, yeah, for Paula's class and for crusty bits, you definitely don't want open, golden open, or fluid acrylics. If you want to do crusty bits, it's better to have the Liquitex Basics. They have more body, and don't, in my opinion, I don't like the Artist Loft. That's just my opinion. And I bought them and then found out colors that I thought I should have looked. They're often transparent, so you might want to look and make sure if you're picking out singles that you get, not Carol, that you get ones that are opaque. Because if you're going to do Paula's crusty bit technique, you want to use colors that are opaque. You don't want semi-transparents or transparents. Okay. This might be hard for you guys to see the silver. If I roll the paper, you can probably see, because it had that dazzling metallics in it, you can probably see the shimmer. Hi, Janice. We're just jelly printing. I think, oh, sorry, Carol. All right. let me go ahead and there's some of that turquoise. Maybe still sit. I doubt that very much, but I'll show you with the translucity. Since this is still on the brayer, might as well. Now this color's a very intense color. Like I said, I don't use a whole lot. This is why I first cut the circles. So let me go ahead and I'll just get the circles out and I'll show you what I did. Trying to find some of the smaller circles and the fat ones. I'm going to use a heavier cardstock. Just lay those to the side there. So I can get rid of that trash. Alright, so there's that first layer of blue. And I'm going to work just two pieces back and forth between two pieces of paper. And we'll use that side of the map. There's more white. So that's still, you can see where that picked up. All right, then I'm going to do another thin layer of the blue. I'm just going to go tone on tone for a few pulls. And use the same one for my original and the same one for my ghost print probably. And I'm just going to put the circles in different places. Alright, so I'm going to come back to this one first. And I don't usually worry too much how I lay it down. I hate that, Carol, when it won't work. Okay, you'll see that I've got more vibrancy in some places and some white in others still. We'll pull this up. What I like about the ghost prints is there's like a darker ring sometimes. I cut the circles. Now, the ones, these were concentric circles that I bought on the Silhouette site. But these, I just freehand cut out of the plastic. I just cut the shape because I liked them. All right, and now I'm going to go to, I'm going to put, do we want to go yellow and make a green with the turquoise, or do we want to go magenta and make a purple? I tend to lean towards the yellow because I'll get blue greens and teals. I'll wait for the lag. Hi, Vicky, by the way. So yellow or add the magenta on top of the blue. Oh, some of mine weren't. Some of them were ovals. You could, and this is see-through. It's the dividers that are see-through, so you could actually. I just traced something in Sharpie and put it and then I made a circle and then went inside. But I kind of like that they're not perfect circles, and they're a little more organic. All right. So let's go yellow. All right. And I am going to brayer off some more of that turquoise off my brayer and wipe off my brayer before I go to the yellow. Like I said, you can see how much was just on my brayer. But you could just leave that on your brayer and get like a blue green. I'll just get a lighter blue green because I wiped most of that off. But I guarantee you there's still some of that blue on my plate anyways. Okay. Circles again. All right, now I'll take this one and put I need some more action right in here, I think. And I'll put a layer on there. Abstract acrylics. I would think so, Martha. You don't want to use like, I've used watercolor. They don't work the greatest. And then they move between layers. You don't want to use permanent inks. And like I said, if you use water-based like watercolor, you don't want to use the sprays because they'll stain your plate. Yeah, you have to kind of play around with the amount of paints. And there's a piece of paint off of, like that black is off of one of these stencils. And I probably would stop that one right there. And then maybe add like some pops of black in Collage. Once I had a matte or some, I'll show you in a minute what I might add to it in places. All right, so this is this one right here. I'm just going to add that bit of yellow onto it. And I started with the blue, but I could have started with the yellows. A lot of times, that's why I don't have very much yellow, because I would build the layers of yellow. I would go like just plain yellow, then a little bit of yellow with raw sienna, then a little bit of yellow with raw sienna and magenta, and then I would put a pop of the magenta or the pop of the turquoise. Let's go. This one didn't come off here. Missed a circle. But you can see how translucent it is because you can still see all the details on the ghost print of the map. So I'll end up turning, and usually what I do is I'll take, like I might take a piece of something like this and tear it and add more layers. This is another one that would work good on this. In fact, I'll go ahead and move the jelly plate and we'll do that. Because let me set some of this stuff aside and get it out of our way. And stack all the stencils. Oh, that was lucky that didn't break. I have stuff stacked too much now. Just put that paper up. Okay. And the other thing that I use is up here. I have some leftover. Let me get it. And I'll tell you what that is in just a minute. And I just keep all the circles in a baggie. Like I said, I do not clean them because you get goodness off of them every once in a while when the paint dries. Thank you, Linda. All right. So all those stencils are stacked out of the way. Let me get rid of some of these paints so I have room. Did you want to go? Okay. Keep finding stencils in other places that I've tossed to the side and on the floor. I have almost all the paints put up. I took out a lot earlier. Took them out so I wouldn't have to do this during the stream and make y'all wait. got brayer paper. This is an old scrapbook page that I cut, and I covered it with a thin layer of Mod Podge, and then I used Ultra Slick Writer and just let that sort of set up, and then when it was dry I came back and covered it with another layer of the gel medium and let it dry. I have a YouTube video on it, and you can pull it off and cut pieces of it. So I'll probably use some of this. But I also think I'm going to use, I like it says Pennsylvania, and I like these circles here, so I'm probably going to leave, I don't like this corner right here. First thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to use just water on a brush. So I can get kind of an organic, and I'm just going to make it tear. I'm not going to worry about this side because I'm not going to let it be on the paper so much. Okay. I think I want to take that off more on the top. I'll save that because I'll use it. All right. Now I need some gel medium. And I'm just going to put a little gel medium in this corner. And I'm going to set that down. Now you can pat it, but usually what I do is hit it with a spray bottle with water and then take real wet gel medium and lightly add a coat on the top. And when it dries, you'll still see the colors underneath and the map. And I think I'll let maybe a little bit of this creep in here. Once it dries, the parts that say Pennsylvania. No, this is matte. This is not gloss. I always use matte. I don't even think I have any gloss right now anymore. I had some, and I used it up because I didn't really care for it. All right, and I think I'm going to take some of these dots that we made, possibly. The other thing is in this basket, let me kind of set that to the side there. In this basket, I have just pieces of napkins I've printed on that I used. I also have some stamped tissue. And I may use some pieces of this. Somewhere it's just like circles. And I saw this is a piece of stamped. And it's kind of in a turquoise color. I may use that somewhere. I thought I'd dig in here and see what I could find. From previous jelly printing stations. Okay, wait a minute. I like that black. And I like, needs some pop, it's going to need some pops of black, I think. The other thing that I like to use a lot is music paper scraps. I have a couple of those and some pattern scraps, possibly. Alright. We set that aside, out of our way. Take that off of there before it gets attached. I'll set those aside. And if you let this dry, I don't do journal pages, Terry. I tend to work on 8x10 size, and I tend to try to, sometimes I'll cut them a little bigger. This is probably cut to an 8x10. So usually people, this is what I'll usually do. This is a 11x14. So what I would do is work on this and then mat it and sell it. So I don't have kids. I have tons of scrapbooks that no one looks at, that that no one's going to inherit, that, I mean, both my husband and I will, you know, we don't, well, there'll be no one left after us. There'll be no kids, no, you know, just nieces and nephews that we seldom see. So most of the time I think in terms of selling. But you could, if you can put Daddy Vans on it, if you do it. Yeah, I have an Etsy. It's under Debby Epps. Alright, so I'm going to put some of this. I kind of like the scribbles with the dots, maybe. And what I like about this is you can like audition it. So you can see where it's going and whether you really want it there. And then, yeah, you don't have to cut the plastic backing, but I did. And I'll just use another piece of plastic when I make more. So you just have to get it started in a place, and it peels right off. And I throw this away. All right, and I think I'm gonna take out some of that. This has a rough edge from where it dried. Now the only thing I have found is that this adheres better if you don't want to wait. If you let the gel medium get tacky. I'm going to actually use, this is gloss, because I didn't realize that was gloss when I bought it. I also don't like it. It's Liquitex Professional Gloss Heavy Gel, but it is nothing like my Golden's Heavy Gel. So I'm going to actually have to go back and buy the Golden's. This I'll use, but it's a much thinner consistency, and I don't find it has as much holding power. But I'm just going to put some of that on there. I almost laid that down backwards, but it won't matter. And you just kind of want to smooth it out. And it's going to show white at the beginning in places where I've got the gel medium a little heavier. Okay. And then maybe this piece that we cut, maybe over here. I think I'll put it right there. Now the matte paper is really thin that I'm working on. So I got that, my brush was really wet just now. So I'll have to be careful because till that kind of sets up right here in this corner. Because I've got so much water. Actually, I think I've got, trying to see which side is, there's a little crease in this that I'm going to cut off. Okay, set that aside and I'll use it somewhere on something. Let me wipe my hands. Right, and I'm going to give that just a little bit of a heat dry. Yeah, I used my coupon on the, I had not tried the Liquitex before and it was less, so I thought, well, I'll just try the Liquitex, but I don't like, it's okay. I mean, it's good to have. I don't dislike it, but I really like the weight. This is so gone. I just really like the thickness and the weight of the Goldens. If I'm going to really glue something down heavy. So, and I didn't realize that this was a gloss when I picked it up, which I don't typically use. I usually use matte. Okay. And I'm thinking that I might want a layer of dots in here, but not a lot, just I'm just going to tear some pieces that are kind of smaller and organic that I can lay in a few places. That one was a little wet, my brush. But you can see when it dries, how translucent it will go. Okay. I'm going to cut that off because I can still use that little bit somewhere. I think I'll put some right there. And then I need to probably back away from the tear that off. And I'm going to tear back because I actually want to be able to probably see Pennsylvania. And those pieces I'll just put in that tray and use them somewhere else. All right. Let me wipe back some of that gel medium. Try not to let it build up too badly on the new mat. And let me give that a dry. Okay. Don't think I want to use any of the, I'll say that and then I like the wordage on the patterns. So I think I'll put that there. And I like the numbers sometimes, especially if you see like the big numbers. Okay. I think I'm going to put that right here. That right there. So I like that I can move it around. I don't want any of this anymore, so I'm going to get rid of that. And I find that, like, if I pull a bunch and then I start eliminating things, it'll help me edit. Okay, I want that to lay over each other a little bit. Okay. Don't mess around with Jim. Obviously, from Big Bad Jim, you know. I think I'm going to use the chorus 3 right here for my quote. Now they say you don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit into the wind, you don't pull the mask off the Lone Ranger, you don't mess around with Slim. So I'm going to trim the part of the second chorus off, and that's going to be my quote. I like to use just random pieces of a song lyric. I don't know where it's going to be torn on this edge, I think, and cut here is what I'm thinking right now. And then I think these 3 circles may need to go right in here somehow. With, like, to emphasize the quote. Or the 3 circles could go up here. And I have 1 of these that could go down here. I like that better. Or I have a circle that could, I don't like the circle. All right, I know I want this here. That song makes me think of being at weddings. All right, I didn't tear the edges on that tissue like I should have. So I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife while it's wet and drag off some of the edge just to feather it out so it's not as obvious where it stops and starts in places. And it'll make it a little more organic. All right, I know I want this tissue from the pattern. I want these words and this line. To come up here. And when it's dry, you'll still see the map. All right. And I know I want this pattern piece to come up here and intersect. It also will kind of hide that edge where the acrylic skin was if it's too thick. I'm almost done, hon.
You've been here so long, the cats have forgotten what you look like.
Oh, Tay-Tay's probably having an anxiety attack.
In my lap.
Bob says I've been streaming so long that the cats have forgotten who I am. I think they'll get over it. All right, and then I'm going to put this bit up here. And these are just stamps that I had that I stamped on tissue and just cut apart to use. And again, I'm just going to pull out where the white, that one I got a little bit of the black, but I don't even care. It'll give it more of a grunge. You can do the wet paintbrush on the tissue too. It's just a little thicker than the napkin. So I know that I want to give this a rough edge, and I think I have some turquoise stays on, and I only use like archival or stays on because I don't want anything to bleed with the wet layers. And I'm just gonna give that just a little bit of a coating in teal. Put some gel medium on the back of that. I'm going to put that right about, need to move it in just a little bit more. Right about there. Now this is real wet right here, so I got to be careful about pulling on that tissue. Because I haven't dried it. Alright. Now I'm going to trim closer on this little single piece of stamp tissue. This was like, do y'all remember Hot Potatoes? She would do the, I can't think of her name. It was, I thought it was, I think I like that sideways better. Might have been Mary Beth. She was Southern, and she did like the stamps, the velvet and iron with the stamps. She was from Nashville. It was Hot Potatoes, is I know the company. That's an old stamp from them. Thanks, Terry. I'll probably send the files tomorrow. I'll need to write myself a note. This is basically done, other than drying it, signing it, trimming this off right here. And I'll show you in the mat just a second. Like I said, I'm trying to not let the gel medium build up too much on the mat before I cut it off. All right. Get rid of that trash. Let me give that a little bit of a dry here. Do you see how clear they go, Kathy? It does not compare to the deli paper. I'll hold it up so you can see better. Now, you have to remember underneath these vinyl transfers, the gel transfers, they're still wet. So there's still some opacity, but like, I don't know if you can see, if you look right in here, you can see right down to the jelly printing and the map. And if I had a darker jelly print that I'd started with, it would be more obvious. Yeah, that's one of my, I love that stamp, but I don't like it, I don't necessarily like it together, but I like to cut it apart. And then the other ones, the other shapes, this one, I can't remember who, I got them at Tuesday morning, and they were all on plastic, and I broke them apart. I don't do that well on Etsy because you're competing with all of those Chinese. You're just so many people on unless you really promote it. But I do really well at local art shows. So I'll put the mat on it. I'm not going to lay it flat down too much. But basically, that's how the finished piece would look. And usually I sell them for anywhere from $10 to $20, depending on how much effort I put in, like how much and what size they are and what in, like if they're matted. But I think that's it for me tonight. I'm sure the cat remark was possibly a hint for hubby. Oh, Vicky, it's fun. It's so fun. Now, the only thing is you have to have some inventory built up. But I just love like talking to the people and meeting other people that are into art or just, out and they came by. So I love it. I don't enter in a whole lot of ones. I buy the mats on Amazon. Now, I messed up when I bought these because I wasn't paying attention. When I bought these, I didn't buy the backs. Usually I like to buy them back and the front, and I get them in 8x10, that's 5x7 size, and 11x14 that's matted down to 8x10 are the two sizes. And then the other thing that I buy is, let's see if I can find one where I stuck them. This is a 12x12, but I also buy on Amazon the cellophane bags, because what I'll do is I'll mat that just like that, and then I'll stick it in this cellophane bag, and then I just put them in like bins on the table, and people can kind of look through them. But I don't frame them or spend a lot of money framing them. I had a couple of them framed, but nobody bought them because frames are so personal. But yeah, you can find the mats and the bags in packages sometimes in some sizes, but just search on Amazon for mats, frame mats or mat frames. You'll see all kinds of sizes, and cellophane bags, and like sometimes you'll see kits and stuff. In the first ones I ordered, I messed up. What I got was a 5x7 mat that was cut down to the ATC size, and they were actually fun to do in the end. But you can get them in, like if you get an ATC from somebody, you can mat that art and then put it in a 3x5 or 4x6, depending what size the big mat is. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording and save it.